What if I told you Abattoir was not the problem, but in fact it gave more transparency to other issues in the game. AOZ is getting nerfed just days after release, and overall this has had positive feedback from the community so far, and it will certainly allow more players access to acquiring the limited time glyph, Tears of Blood, experience the content, and progress their characters. Here's the post from Blizzard forums, and I'll leave a link to the article in the description for anyone who wants to read through it themselves. To summarize, Tiers 2 and up will give more glyph experience, allowing you to level your glyphs quicker. Vampiric and Suppressor have been disabled from Bloodseekers everywhere. Tiers 9 and below have had their difficulty reduced, and all tiers will now deal about 20% reduced damage. It's nerfed, and quickly at that, which is greatly appreciated by many. However, this was meant to be endgame for the sweatiest of us nerds, looking to both be challenged and rewarded for any accomplishments we might have tackled. At the end of the season, any time spent improving your Tears of Blood glyph will be lost. There's no achievement, no pat on the back, no participation trophy, there's nothing. Which makes you wonder, was the expectation different from what was delivered? It was clearly stated AOZ would be difficult. In fact, you might not be able to complete any, let alone all of the tiers. However, it seems that many had very selective hearing, and basically just assumed they'd be able to progress and power spike their beloved characters. What ensued was a lot of complaining and disappointment when the new content hit originally, with remarks about Vampiric scaling being too high or Suppressor not being fair. Well, these aren't new. In fact, if you level in something like the Domain Tunnels, it's not uncommon for certain builds to be unable to kill the named mob there after increasing the world tier. There's even some builds that can get stuck in Nightmare Dungeons due to the Vampiric affix. Should there be a cap on how high Vampiric can scale, or does that just break the affix altogether? Suppressor can make certain builds far less viable, especially when the final bosses or guardians, which are scaled even further, can have the affix. Molten is largely avoidable until you pair that with a mob that can jump, teleport, and scale to the point of one-shotting you instantly. Have you ever been poisoned for 3 times your health pool in Sirocco Caverns or Deserted Underpass? There's an expansion coming, and nerfing AOZ isn't going to change any of these affixes without intervention. In fact, they'll just be worse, because the expansion is sure to scale their characters and the enemies even further than they already are. Perhaps scaling would be better off with percentage-based effects. For example, if you stand in fire, you take 5% on the first tick, then 10% on the second, and so on. Then we'd need a way to keep increased health pools or the stat maximum life relevant. And the point is, this isn't easy, which is why we saw a quick nerf to AOZ. It was simple and works for the time being, but there's definitely some work to be done. Classes may have the most work to be done. The season has been flooded by barbs and sorks, and there's nothing wrong with playing Flavor of the Month. It even helps make the seasons more memorable. The larger issue here is that AOZ made playing these classes even more favorable than they already were, and players will remember that going forward. Next time you create a character, you'll think, I remember in Season 2, I really wanted to play Druid, but I got shafted at the end of the season because I couldn't do the new content. I'm going to play Rogue this season because everybody else is. Seasonal bosses help players form groups. Buying, selling, sharing materials, all allowed for positive group play and interaction. AOZ is somewhere you don't dare to group unless you're doing a carry where they stand still at the start. What does the lack of group play in the newest endgame content mean for clans? You know, that thing that we have? Feel free to leave a comment with your thoughts, and as always, thanks for taking the time to watch, and have a great day.